packed stadium fades to silence as James Tedesco, the unbreakable fullback who's carried the Sydney Roosters on his shoulders through hellfire seasons, stares at a simple invitation. Not to a grand final, but to a wedding. His brother's. And in that split-second choice, he ghosts the Kangaroos' Ashes tour, leaving a nation gasping. What could make a warrior like Teddy walk away from glory? Smash that subscribe button right now if you've ever ditched duty for family, because this story's about to hit harder than a Dylan Edwards tackle. Stick around, the twist will floor you. James Tedesco had been grinding through the 2025 season like a man possessed, every sprint a statement, every try a thunderclap that echoed from Bondi to Brisbane. The Dally M whispers were deafening. Medal front runner, they said, the kind of form that doesn't just turn heads, it rewires legacies. After captaining the Kangaroos to triumphs that still give fans chills, his exile from the green and gold in recent years had felt like a cruel exile, a punishment for daring to age in a league that devours its icons. But 2025? This was redemption arc material. Preliminary final heroics against the Panthers, where he danced through defences like a shadow in the night, had selectors salivating. Kevin Walters, the no-nonsense coach piecing together his Ashes squad for the brutal UK showdown with England, penciled Teddy in as the heartbeat, the fullback to anchor a side hungry for vengeance after last year's slip-ups. Whispers in the sheds turned to roars. Recall imminent, captaincy whispers floating like smoke from a post-match barbie. Tedesco trained like the devil was chasing him, visualizing that Tri Nations jersey draped over his frame once more, the weight of a nation's hopes a familiar, intoxicating burden. Yet, beneath the sweat and strategy sessions, a quiet storm brewed. Invitations arrived in the mail, crisp and unyielding, pulling at threads he'd long buried under the grind of footy life. His brother, the one who'd shared backyard scraps and dream-chasing talks under suburban stars, was tying the knot. Best man duties weren't optional. They were etched in blood and brotherhood. As training whistles pierced the air, Teddy's mind wandered to tuxedos and toasts, not tackles and tries. The conflict clawed at him, nights spent pacing the living room, phone in hand, debating texts to coaches that could shatter dreams. Selectors buzzed with excitement, blind to the fracture lines spreading across his resolve. He nodded through team meetings, masking the turmoil with that trademark grin, but inside, the scales tipped wildly. Legacy versus loyalty, immortality versus the irreplaceable pull of family. And just when the squad announcement loomed like a guillotine, Teddy made the call that would ripple through rugby like a seismic shock. But what words could he summon to explain the unexplainable? And how would the Kangaroos reel from this gut-wrenching void? The boardroom air. In Sydney hung thick as fog off the harbour when James Tedesco faced down ARLC chairman Peter V'landys, his voice steady but laced with the gravel of sleepless nights. No fanfare, no press conference pyrotechnics, just a man laying bare his soul to the gatekeepers of the game he loved more than breath itself. He'd agonized over it for weeks, the wedding date immovable monolith clashing against the Ashes itinerary like titans in some ancient myth. Travel to England? Impossible. Best man at his brother's side, vowing eternal bonds while the world spun on without him? Non-negotiable. V'landys listened, eyes narrowing not in judgment but in the quiet understanding of a father who'd walked similar tightropes. Teddy poured it out, the joy of his brother's milestone, the guilt of abandoning a team mid-rebuild, the raw ache of choosing flesh and blood over the siren call of state of origin glory reborn on foreign soil. It wasn't ego or injury. It was heart, pure and punishing. As the conversation stretched into uncomfortable silences, a surprise revelation slipped from Teddy's lips. He'd turned down multimillion-dollar offers to stay in Australia, prioritizing not just family but a life beyond the bootscuffs and broken bones. The room shifted, V'landys nodding with a respect that bordered on reverence, sealing the withdrawal with a handshake that echoed like finality. Word leaked like wildfire through the rugby grapevine, igniting forums and fan pods from the SCG to the Sunshine Coast. Shockwaves hit. How could the man who'd bled green and gold for a decade bail for a ceremony? Pundits piled on, some branding it selfish, others hailing it heroic, but none grasping the quiet devastation etching lines on Teddy's face as he drove home. Reporters swarmed, microphones thrusting like spears, but he held firm, channeling the pain into a single, searing admission that cut deeper than any sideline critique. The Kangaroos, already nursing wounds from injuries and form slumps, stared into an abyss at fullback. Reece Walsh, the electric Bronco kid with feet like lightning, felt the spotlight swing his way, but at what cost to the squad soul? And as Teddy slipped into wedding prep, suit fittings masking the phantom weight of an unused jersey, a deeper question lingered. Had he just traded eternity for a fleeting forever, or reclaimed something the game could never steal. Welcome back to Aussie NRL Updates, where we unpack the raw beats of the beautiful game. Hit like if Teddy's choice fired you up, and subscribe for the unfiltered truth on every tackle and heartbreak. The fallout cascaded like a try-scoring avalanche, reshaping the Kangaroos' Ashes blueprint in ways no one saw coming. Kevin Walters, ever the tactician with a jaw set like concrete, pivoted with predatory grace, eyes locking on Reece Walsh as the prodigal son poised for his test baptism. The Broncos sensation, who dazzled with hip-swiveling sidesteps and vision that bordered on clairvoyance, had been knocking on the international door since his debut seasons, only to find it barred by veterans like Tedesco and Edwards. Now, with Teddy's silhouette fading into family law, Walsh's path cleared like mist under a scorching sun. Whispers turned to declarations. Debut locked, fullback duties is to seize in the cauldron of English hostility. But here's the gut-punch surprise. No one's talking about the invisible scars this leaves on the team's spine. Tedesco wasn't just a player. He was the glue, the voice in huddles that turned boys into warriors, the steady hand guiding rookies through the raw. Without him, Walter's squad, bolstered by returnees like Cameron Munster and a fired-up Tom Trbojevic, faced not just Poms with pints and pride, but the echo of what ifs. Fans erupted in a symphony of sentiment. Hashtags like